Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Level
Hi.
Up Conversations.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Vanessa.
Woo woo.
I'm Lorraine, Air Force
I'm
Lorraine.
Joe.
All right. Today's topic is Stand by Your Man? Question mark.
Hmm?
Hmm. So, who would like to tackle this topic first?
Well, just tell everyone how did we come up with this topic?
Joe, how did we come up with this topic?
Uh, I mean, I don't, I guess standing by your man is one of the foundational things in a relationship, right?
Mhm.
So I guess we kind of started out there, and also not just stand by your man. We say that because we're women, obviously talking about relationship issues, but this does go both ways. But for the purpose of this, we're gonna go with the people that we date, and therefore that's what we're gonna speak on. You know, but
Yeah,
I think we were talking about in conflict, right? And
hmm
Lorraine, you did mention. Um, Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying that yeah, in relationships there is etiquette in relationships, especially when we're out in public or when we're around other people. Um, there is an etiquette that we must have, some type of respect that we must show for one another when we're
Yes.
in front of other people. And and really this topic is to just really think about your own behavior and hold yourself accountable. That are you standing by your man um in times when you know he's wrong? Do Are you supposed to check him in public?
Hmm.
What is that supposed to look like? And for me the answer is no, you don't check him in public.
Hmm.
you know of course, there's ways to say you're wrong without really beating him up, so to speak. If he does something that you're not fond of while you're in public, you can pull him aside and you can whisper in his ear, so that it doesn't emasculate him
Hmm.
you know
Right, right. I think of, I don't know if it's a song. I think it is a song. Us Against the World, that whole concept. So as a couple, it's the two of you. You're supposed to be united front,
Mhm.
and whatever the conflict is between the two of you needs to remain between the two of you because you're supposed to present a united front. And if one person is out there publicly shaming their partner, how can you
Right.
expect um, that other person that's being disrespected to then still show you respect?
Right.
Right. And it's just like when you have children,
Hmm.
children are notorious to do, like, they'll ask mom one thing, she'll say yes, and they'll ask dad and he say no. So the kids will know who to ask
Hmm.
Right.
when they want to do something. And again, you go back to the united front. You know, when a kid asks mom's supposed to say, well, what did dad say?
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, you supposed to stand by your man. He's
Mm-hmm.
the leader. My New York just came out. I just heard that New York, it just came out. He is the leader.
What
And
what what was that? I couldn't hear you.
it happens sometimes. My New York comes out. Um, and so he's the leader, and so you supposed to revert back to him, honey. What did you tell Billy? Because Billy, we're a united front.
Hmm.
Whatever Dad say, it's gonna go. You
Hmm.
know.
Right. Right.
I mean, I will have to agree with both you guys. When it comes to standing by your man, 100%, I'm that girl. If you're my man, I'm riding with you. As long as we're fighting on the same team, I'm riding with you. And even if you're wrong, and we're talking about in public, I mean, I will check you. I expect you to check me behind closed doors. That is why we're a couple. We hold each other accountable and we help each other grow. But when it comes to public situations, I got your back.
Yeah.
If I have to pull you to the side, that's what I'm going to do. But if I have to argue for you, I will argue for you. And then I'll go back and be like, but babe, you know what? You were wrong. But like, I am
Exactly
not,
right.
you
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm going to be there for you. And I feel like, that is kind of like what I expect. Like you said, Lorraine, that's what I would expect from my partner as well. And while you guys were speaking, it got me thinking about something. You know, you ever been around couples where it almost seems like one person derives pleasure and joy from putting the other one down? It's
Mhm.
it's
Yes.
almost kind of like this passive aggressive dynamic where maybe they're unhappy in the relationship. They kind of like low key seem like they don't like their partner. And so in public situations, it's almost kind of like an opportunity to put them down, but yet
Mm,
it's a joke. You can't
mm,
take a joke. I was only kidding.
Yeah,
You know what I
no.
mean? But you're embarrassing them in public. You're dragging them in public, and it's just not. It's not a good look. It's not,
yeah.
so, because I've seen situations like that where you can definitely tell, like, this person's being passive aggressive, and that comment was not a joke.
Right,
It was just
right.
as an opportunity. But yet now you're in public and it's awkward for everybody else. You expect us to laugh, but we can feel your tension. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely, I agree. I I
And
I stand by mine.
it's
Mm,
unfortunate that black women, they have gotten a rap of being loud in public,
Mhm.
especially when they see things that are not right. You may go to a restaurant and your food is not, prepared the way you requested, and then that, they felt like that's a, um, how you say, that's a license, an opportunity to just act a fool, and
mm,
that's not how you do it.
Mhm.
Again, I just think, tell your man, well, I ordered this, and let him take care of it. You know,
yes.
let him take the lead on that. And
Mhm.
because I do, know of loud black women, and those are the black women that I don't be around because they're loud. Nobody wants to be around someone loud and boisterous, and and you draw attention to yourself. That just doesn't, it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't look right. It's,
Mm,
especially when we're grown adults. No one wants to be yelled at in public. you
right.
know no one wants to be yelled at, period, let alone in
Period.
public.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
You wouldn't do that to your boss at work. Why would you do that to your partner?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. I think that, like I said earlier, that mutual respect is very important. And I must touch on this, even though I'm kind of like, I told myself I wasn't going to say anything, but whatever. The whole Will and Jada situation, where he got banned from the Oscars or the Academy Awards for 10 years. They let him keep his Oscar. I feel that him overreacting, I think what he did was unprofessional. He overreacted. And as it turns out, wasn't even worth it. Because then Jada comes out later, or came out very recently, saying that she didn't need him to do that. She doesn't need a man to protect her. And it's like, that's very disrespectful because this is your
Very.
husband. He
Right.
did what he felt he needed to do in the moment, even though it was kind of like in the heat of the battle. It was like, a very strong emotional response. But she should have never said anything. No one needed to hear her breaking her silence. She really
Right.
should have kept silent because that
Yes.
is a perfect example of disrespecting your partner and not standing by your man. You can
Mhm.
disagree with him with what he did privately, but then to publicly go and make a statement like that, that's out there for like all eternity. There's no way around that.
Right.
And for people who say, oh, he was defending his wife, he was defending his woman, that took away from it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That definitely took away from it. And even if she, she could have made a statement and just simply said, look, he was doing what he needed to do to protect me.
Hmm.
But then for
Mhm.
her to say, "Oh, she don't need any protection," wow! Being a woman, I want protection.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what I crave. I want a man to stand up and protect me.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Like that's like someone coming in, invading your home.
Hmm.
That's like, if she just push him out there. I was like, okay, Jada, go ahead, you go, you go first.
Mhm.
But usually the man says, I will go first, and
Hmm.
you go run. But now she put him directly into the line of fire, and
Yeah.
he
Yes.
just didn't care.
I mean, you guys know how I feel about Will and Date and Jada and that whole, slap situation. And I still stand by him. I personally think he did what he had to do I don't think he did anything wrong. But I 100% agree with you guys, and I lost my respect for her in that situation because, like you said, I mean, really, yeah, maybe that's what you told him behind closed doors. We get it. You did not have to come out and put this statement out in public, especially knowing damn well what the consequences of what he did were. I mean, he was already down. Essentially, it's like she was kicking him while he was down.
Right.
You know, he's
Yes.
dealing with the consequences and the fallout, and all this stuff is happening. And I don't care that you did not agree with him in that moment. Even like it's very heartless. I felt like that it was heartless. I think that statement was fueled by a lot of ego, which makes me look at you in a different light, because it was more important for you to put yourself out there and have your ego out there talking about, I did not want him to protect me, I don't need it. So your ego was more important than even trying to protect your husband in a moment of weakness. I mean, let's even for a second say, yeah, he was wrong for doing what he did. Even if we look at it from that perspective, where do you then protect him? Where do you protect him? Where do you stand up and come through for him as a woman? Where are you protecting him? You know what I mean? Even if he was wrong, you just, I mean, come on. Like, what is the foundation of what you guys have at this point? If you couldn't even just like tell him what you told him behind closed doors and create a united front, you know, in front of everybody. She didn't even have to, like you said, she didn't even have to say how she felt about it. She could have just, you know, what a celebrity is known for, diplomatic statements. She could have just said, you know what, he did what he had to do. That's it. You didn't have to say, I stand by him. Keep yourself out of it. Create a united front and keep it pushing. I lost all respect for her as a woman. As a woman, I don't care for her as a celebrity because I don't care. But as a woman and as a partner, I lost respect for her.
Right. And like, how do, like, being Will, how do you move forward? How do you go home and be with her knowing that, right, she didn't protect you? Knowing that, you know, it's like now him against the world, and the one woman, one person that's supposed to be standing next to him just threw him out there.
Right.
Yep.
I don't
in
know
public was like, I don't associate with that. I don't agree with it. Really? Come on now. You know what I mean?
So it just shows that she just doesn't appreciate him.
Right.
No,
it's
not
like
at
she's
all.
just out for herself. You're just out for yourself. And now we're just looking at you sideways, because even if your sentiment is correct, girl, wrong platform. He's your husband. You guys are home together. You could have had that conversation and dealt with it. Like Lorraine said, united front, you know? I mean, this kind of like makes me think of sometimes when you see couples going out and the girl gets into a fight, and sometimes maybe she started it, right? So then what? So now the boyfriend or husband is like, honey, you started that, so you go ahead and handle it, while she's being whooped by another female. Are you just going to do that? No, you're going to try to protect her and get her out of the situation. And then you're going to be like, you started the fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Do not do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like that's what a partner does. They protect you, even when you're wrong, even when because none of us is perfect. I mean, she literally kicked him while he was down. And I feel bad for that man.
Yeah.
You know,
Because men in relationships need that emotional support, even if they don't express it the way that women do. But it's very, very important to them, because that person, their partner, is the one that they have let themselves be vulnerable with.
yes.
And that means you have the accountability as the woman in the relationship to support your man. And part of, standing by him is protecting him emotionally. I mean, that's the protection we're talking about. Like, he doesn't need us to physically, loke up and beat somebody down, but, he does need that emotional support. And the way that support comes is through protecting his feelings, guarding his heart, that sort of thing. And to me, she just threw him under the bus. I lost all respect. I think she's a very toxic person.
And Vanessa, you brought up a good point, because just like men are to protect their woman physically, women, we're not strong enough to protect a man physically, but we are supposed to protect them emotionally.
Yes.
And that goes back to what we were saying, what you bring to the table. And as a woman, that's what you're supposed to bring to the table. You're supposed to make sure that you build a covenant over your man to make sure, no one is going to touch him emotionally.
Right.
Right.
That
Right.
when he's with you, you're going to be that kryptonite. You're going to be that protection, that vest for him. To know that, even if the outside world beats him down, he knows when he's home, he knows with you in his corner, he knows you're there for him.
Right.
That you're going to stand by him no matter what.
Right. And I mean, we're not even talking about a random incident. I mean, how much more because he did it for you to begin with. I mean, he may have done the wrong thing, but his heart for you was in the right place.
And especially when it was so public. And
you know, I mean, that just did not make any sense to me. It got me looking at her in a different perspective, and it showed me how individualistic and how selfish this person is in this relationship, that they really felt the need to probably obviously tell him what they told the whole world behind closed doors, but do one better and come out in public and say what she said. Like, it's very much like it's very much like disregarding, you know what I mean? And I just think it's really sad because, his heart was in the right place, obviously. And I personally think he wasn't wrong. Other people think he was wrong, but regardless, the reason why he did it was for her.
Yes.
So for her to just do that was really unnecessary. But if we talk about Stand By Your Man, that is the perfect example of where she definitely not only did not stand by him, but literally pushed him.
I mean, and that's something very shameful for him to like, it took a lot of guts for him to like get up from his seat, go on stage and do what he had to do and walk back. And then I know he felt prideful because I'm doing that for my woman. And then that's what you do.
Like
you should be like jumping in his arms every night. You should be like, throwing it down. It's like she should have had a parade for him.
And she did none of that stuff. Like when he went up on stage, there was a camera angle where they caught Jada laughing at what her husband did. And then when he came back to his seat, she did not console him at any point in time that I saw from any of the various videos. So nothing.
I mean, he would have come back down to like open arms and a kiss. I'm sorry. I don't care about y'all. He stood up for me, and that's just what it is. And this is we. It's not him and me. It's we. You know what I mean?
And that's totally standing by him.
Affection. There was nothing.
Yeah,
and I think that's something I haven't heard people bring up. Like, she didn't even grab his hand. I'm quite sure he was shaking inside, and she didn't console him in any way.
And I mean, that kind of like begs the issue of, he was willing to like break from the norm, break from the mold, like you said, Vanessa, and walk up there, and to come back. Like, couldn't she break from her? We're in a public situation, in a show, in an award show. You know what I mean? She was still keeping the appearances up.
Still very
much appearances while he was going through his moment, I don't know.
Everyone else up but her.
I think she definitely failed him. But yeah, I mean, as far as like standing by your man, 100%. But then, well, I mean, so how does that work? If you are supposed to stand by your man, where do you draw the boundary, or is there a boundary that you draw?
There definitely has to be a boundary. I don't think it makes sense to just stand by a man who's just, out there acting crazy or trying to draw you into foolishness. So there definitely needs to be a boundary of what that looks like, because like we said earlier, you're providing the emotional support, he's providing the physical support. And so there needs to be a boundary and an understanding of what that looks like when you say you're standing by one another.
Good point. And and I think when something like that happens in your relationship, especially in public, the time to talk about it is when you're on your way home, because you're traveling together on your way home, and like really discussing and say, it wasn't the right thing to do. It wasn't the best thing to do at the time. I appreciate what you did, even though it wasn't the best thing to do. And like next time, let's handle it this way,
Hmm.
or let's remove ourselves from the situation, but still you have to, stand by your person. And again, it's, just like a parent. Because I know when my daughter, when she was young and in school, I told her, I was like, okay, if I get a call from school, mom is gonna be up there now, but let me know if you came out of pocket, so I
Right.
don't know which way to move.
Right.
But they're
Yes.
not going to know which way to move, which way that I'm going to move. But I'm going to defend you. But if you're wrong, you're gonna have to pay the consequence. But
Right.
I'm not gonna come up there, be on their side, so to say. I'm always gonna be on your side, but I'm gonna call you out when you're wrong, because wrong is
Mhm.
wrong,
Mhm.
and we're gonna correct it from there.
Right.
Hmm.
I think that's really beautiful. And I feel like that's like a new level in a relationship, like to being unlocked, to have that kind of like trust and faith in a partner. You know what I mean? Like when you can rest knowing like no matter what, this person's got me. And like you said, of course, we're not dealing with like, you're not going to go kill somebody and I'm going to be like, well, they deserved it, honey. No. But when it comes to like standing by your partner, it's like, especially like out in public, I got you 100%. For me, I would say my limit is obviously like if we're talking about anything illegal, and if we're talking about
Right.
anything
Oh
that
no.
like we're talking about the law getting involved, I'm not gonna lie for you, sir. Like I feel like that's where I draw the line. You
But
know what I
I,
mean?
I
I'm standing with you, but
I started smiling when I was speaking about my daughter in school, because my daughter went to Catholic school,
Hmm.
and there was an incident where she had got thrown. Her and one of her classmates had got thrown off the school bus because they were loud. So when I found out she got thrown off the school bus, I had to go. I spoke with the school officials, and I said, spoke to one of the sisters and said what happened, and it was like, oh, she was loud with one of her friends, and so so their punishment is so that they have to walk to school for a week. So I was like, okay. I told my daughter, I said, get to walking. And I didn't take her to school. I was like, that's your punishment. But I
right.
remember that I went and found out what the issue was. And when I
Hmm.
found out, oh, okay, all right, she was in the wrong, you got to get to walking.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's just an example of how you have to stand by those you love and
Right.
appreciate, and still let them know that they were wrong, and this is how we're going to correct it, and this is how we're going to move forward.
Right.
And she
Right.
definitely didn't do that. She should have been, Jada should have been in his arms. Matter of fact, she could have just grabbed him by his hand and got up and walked out, like, yeah, we did this,
Hmm.
and we're that bad that we can walk
Right.
out.
I
Right.
mean, yeah, definitely, definitely. That was a letdown, 100%. You know, I mean, I guess the other aspect of it is, you have to hold your partner accountable. Of course, I have to hold my man accountable, and I have, you got to be doing the right thing. You got to be playing by the rules and everything. I stand by you, but I mean, if you do something illegal or wrong, and now you're ending up in jail, 100%, I'm not going to lie
Oh
for
no.
you. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to write that statement and I will sign it. It's a legal binding document and you ain't taking me down with you like that. So
Mm-mm.
we're going to tell the truth. Now, am I going to come visit you in prison? I mean, I might come visit you in jail. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to lie for you.
Hmm.
So, I mean, boundaries like that. And of course, that's the whole idea is that you don't want a partner who also doesn't learn and grow and be a stand-up like person. So of course, when you're wrong and that's got to be discussed. But as far as
And
like
when
the public is concerned, we're a united front and I got you and you better have me too. That's just what
Yes.
it
and
is.
when you've been together for that long, over
Right.
20 years, there's supposed to be like this understanding. Like, it's, yeah, she really done him wrong. She did him
Right. Right.
she did him wrong.
Right. I guess
I,
I just don't even, at this point, after that statement, I don't even see why you're together.
hmm.
Like, exactly what is the foundation of your relationship then? What is the foundation other than the fact that you said we decided like divorce is not an option? I mean, what does that even look like? Because so you never signed the papers to just be separated or divorced, but at the same time, you're out here living individual lives, then I guess is the point. Because if you're just like out for yourself and your partner is out for himself, what does that even mean at this point?
Well, the word on the street is that Will went to some rehab,
Mm-hmm.
and
heard
I
that.
guess to get some understanding about why he did what he did. But I don't know how you can go home.
I
to
mean,
that.
I hope he's in rehab somewhere enjoying a beer and some wings and like watching his favorite shows on TV. Because as far as I'm concerned, he didn't do anything wrong. And as far as I'm concerned, he did it because he was protecting his wife, period. That's just the way I see it. So, from my perspective, there's no understanding and learning and growing that he needs to be going through. I don't care. You can come for me. I said what I said. I stand by it.
But how can
So,
you go home to someone like that? Like, how do you?
yeah, exactly. That's why I say, like, what do they have then? If you don't have that, if we don't even have a foundation of trust, because to me, standing by your partner, the whole point of it is that you guys trust each other. That reminds me of that one exercise that employees do, like the trust building exercise thing, where it's like the person stands behind and the other person falls. You trust them enough that they're going to catch you, right?
Yeah.
I think after that statement, that man where's the trust?
Good analogy. Good analogy. Yeah. Because right when she was in front and she leaned back, he caught her.
Correct.
When the roles were reversed, she let him fall. He done bumped his head.
Now she let him fall and made a statement while he was on the floor.
That's an excellent analogy. Excellent.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, I could just see that in my head.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, the man is clearly traumatized by this whole situation that he had to go into, rehab to get emotional support, which is very, very sad because that emotional support, as we've been saying, should have come from his partner and nowhere else. But now he's needing to get rehab for the situation, as though, because my opinion, it could have been handled differently, but he wanted to understand why he was triggered and why he felt the need to, do what he did. But that shows an emotional maturity on his part.
Yes.
Taking accountability for, okay, maybe I didn't handle it in the best way. Perhaps it was a heat of the moment, reactionary sort of thing that I did, but I am trying to grow to keep this relationship strong. Jada, on the other hand, doesn't show any sort of remorse, isn't expressing any kind of growth. Comes across as very individualistic, very selfish, very self-centered, very immature. And that is definitely nothing you should be wanting to display on a public stage by making a statement like that. And especially, what kind of example is she setting for her kids? The daughter, especially. You've got, they're young and they're impressionable. Yes, they're grown. They're like, what, in their early 20s or something? But still very impressionable about how they would step into relationships and treat their significant others. You're now setting the stage and the example that standing by your significant other is not in the cards. Like, you can just do you.
Yeah. And it's so unfortunate because I know a lot of women are stepping up and it's like, I appreciate you, Will. I will appreciate you. I'll treat you right. And it's like, he can't trust anyone because of, what he has built for himself, being, this big, high celebrity. He's not going to be able to trust anyone. And so, and that's the reason why he's going to stay in a relationship. I mean, I really hope that he grows some balls and file for divorce. I really,
you know what? I definitely feel like she, obviously we don't know these people. So from the outside looking in, from what I imagine that is happening in this relationship, I feel like it's a relationship where she kind of, maybe on purpose or not, the dynamic that they have is where I feel like maybe he has been put down for not stepping up before, right? And when there's been other issues with other, other men, and the other guy that she was with, were they on a break, were they not on a break, whatever. So I feel like he's been demasculinized enough, even coming up all the way to this point where he was almost kind of like, like people have no respect for him, and this probably was his one moment to step up and be that man, and I could even probably see it where she's put him in that situation where he's just kind of like been the whipping boy, in the tabloids and everything, like, oh yeah, she's out here putting your business in the streets and, talking about like the other guy and this, that, and the next. And so, he stepped up. And then when he did, it was almost like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And at the end of the day, he's always the problem,
Right. And
where is her accountability? Where
someone,
like you said, Vanessa, where is her accountability? Where is her growth? Where is her? Maybe she needs to be in therapy trying to figure out why he felt the need to do that. Right. How about that?
That's what that's what you would have hoped, that if something was going to happen, they were going to go away together. Together and try
because
to figure
it's
out what
very
happened.
much seeming like it's a him problem. It's a him problem that he needs to figure out, but the rest of us are fine. No, you as a wife need to be asking yourself, yeah, he has to do the work, but also we always say this, it takes two. So maybe what is it about your marriage? What is it about your relationship? What is it about you as his wife that got him to that point as well? You're definitely probably not 100% innocent in this. And the idea that he's the one that needs to put in the work and then come back and she's just fine is very problematic, because it's giving one person in the relationship learning and growing and trying to do better, while the other one thinks that they're perfect and have no learning to do.
And there is a relationship dynamic where one partner may be submissive and the other partner may be dominant, and it is a power play type of thing, and some couples do it, and they even display that in public. And I even started to think maybe their relationship was built on that type of thing, where when the person that's submissive, the dominant person, is responsible for humiliating and making that person more submissive. But I will tell you, in that type of relationship dynamic, usually brown skinned people don't play that game. So just to let you know, people do, they're out there.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, remember you showed us a TikTok. Black man
Yep.
wanted to play the slave to his white girlfriend.
Yes.
Yes. You see? And there are those different types of relationships that that a lot of people don't have access to. I remember being younger watching the Jerry Springer show. Yes, I watched the Jerry Springer show until it went off the air.
Yeah.
And there was episodes where a guy would come out and a woman would lead him on a leash and collar, and like he'll be on all fours and he would have like this black mask on, and I used to think that's just for television, that's just Jerry Springer. No, in fact, people really live life like that. There are real people who do that, where one person is dominant and one person is submissive to the other person. And when we speak about relationships, like when the manosphere speak about the woman should be submissive, no, that is on a different level. This domination and submissive thing, that goes down to the dungeon, literally.
Right.
I mean, if I think about their dynamic, again, we obviously are speculating because we don't know them. But if you think about their dynamic, that would not be the play that I would imagine, only because in that case, then he wouldn't be somewhere in rehab trying to figure out what made him do what he did, because it would be understood that this is their dynamic and this is how they kind of like, deal with each other, I mean, well, you know what, Vanessa, like you said, that was the perfect example of not standing by your man. But interestingly enough, I think this is one we all agree that really you should, because what else is left of the relationship in public if you cannot stand by your partner, and have a united front and protect them no matter what, and then you can go kind of like hash it out in private, you know?
And this was something major, and she couldn't stand by him.
Right.
Imagine all the little things that she didn't stand by him.
Right.
So
Right.
I guess the rest is to be seen. We may see them separate. We may see them, really have truly an open relationship, because they're just not going to get a divorce. I mean,
Well, I mean,
I
the way I see it, I get that, like you guys said earlier, I mean, they could have agreed that, yeah, we said divorce is not an option. But listen, I mean, a wise man changes his mind. So if the wheels are falling off this train, what, we're just gonna keep riding it until we fall off the cliff? No, you can kind of like reevaluate the situation and say, listen, we said what we said then, but this is different now, and you can
and,
decide
and
to get out or
really,
just
truly, life is
maybe,
too short. I
yeah.
mean,
Yes,
we
it
think
is.
it's not, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, life is really too short. And they're in their 50s.
Hmm.
It's like, are you gonna live like this, like, forever? Like,
Right.
that's not happiness.
Right.
Personally, I predict they will stay
I
together.
think they will too.
I
Hmm.
mean, I definitely see a dynamic there that might be dysfunctional, but it's not going away. I think there's a pride and ego in I'm riding it till the wheels fall off, and more so when there's like problems and conflict, it's almost like strengthening the idea that no matter what, we're gonna stay. It's almost like stay to prove a point type of
Mhm.
situation.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And
Because
you
we're a
know
Hollywood
what? Hey,
couple and we're gonna stay.
they're
But like,
happy. I'm
to
happy
be
for them.
abused, like
Hmm.
Yeah,
that's abuse.
but I
Like,
definitely
Yeah,
do
it
not
is.
see
I
them
agree.
it's emotional
separating.
abuse.
It is. It
You
is.
can't even trust the person that you live with. Like, it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
Very much
like,
so.
if he was in danger of getting hit by a car, would she like run in the street and try to save him? Or would she say, oh well,
Or would
that's
she just say, because of the fact that you caused yourself to be in the position that you're in that right now, it is what it is.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know.
that's really hard to live with.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something else too. I mean, we're even talking about this is a marriage, and to me, it's almost like it's this sacred entity where it's so. I mean, you want to personally. I've never been married, but I think that the reason why I haven't is also because of the fact that this is how I view it. That if ever I do get into this situation, my man, it's me and you against the world. I want you to know that I'm going to protect you. I'm going to ride until we die. We're in this together, and it's just the idea of like you feeling safe and taken care of and protected, and even when you're not perfect, we're still gonna be there for each other. And I was
But
thinking about that in terms of like being out in the public. you know Other people have to understand that as well. Like people have to like see your dynamic and understand that that's what it is. Your family, your friends, and other people, they were in a room full of their peers.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, you guys were in a room full of like your people, your friends, your family, like the people that you hobnob with and stuff like that. It just, the whole thing is just wrong. That was where, I mean, personally, that's where I feel like he was right to do what he did, because we look at it as, oh my God, it was the Oscars, it was something big. But for celebrities, this is kind of like it's a room full of their peers, quite honestly.
Joe, you brought up a point. You said marriage, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
They do not consider themselves to be married.
Yeah.
They
So if
don't.
they don't consider themselves to be married, how do they then agree that we're going to stay married and divorce is not an option if they're not married?
Because again, they repackage their relationship. I can't remember what the term is, but they're kind of like partners or something. They don't consider themselves to be married.
So if they're not married, then how come divorce is not an option?
I guess legal divorce is not an option,
Right.
but
Yeah.
on the other end, it's not as far as openly living separate lives.
Yes, I think that's what it is, Vanessa. Exactly.
So,
That's why.
you know
That's
what?
why.
This is what I think. I feel like sometimes people just go around making rules for themselves, and it's fine because it's your life to live. But like, don't try to like talk us into your foolishness. You know, it's kind of like what I feel like sometimes is, because if you went and got married and you have that paper, okay, so then you decided we're not going to get divorced, we're not going to sign the piece of paper to say we're separated, but we're going to repackage our situation and we're going to live however the hell that we want to, then this is probably the reason why what's happening is happening,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
they're not holding themselves to the standards of regular people's marriage.
Exactly. And that's why when the public was getting upset, oh, Jada cheated, she did not cheat because they don't consider themselves as being married. And he knew about it. He knew about the relationship.
So
Just like there's been whispers about him being with other women. She knew about it because, again, they don't consider themselves as being married.
but this is where then I say this. Okay, fine. Let's even take marriage out of the equation. This is still somebody that you're with. How whatever they want to call it, right? This is somebody that you're with. This is your partner. Let's call him a partner then. This is your partner. The same rules apply.
Yes.
Because why are you treating him like what's his name down the street that you just met and you're just throwing him under the bus?
Because again, you're not married, so the rules don't apply. Because also their daughter, she's also was getting into polyamory.
No.
But hold on. There is a point that I'm trying to make here. Okay, so the rules don't apply because you're not married. But even in polyamorous, even in like in those situations, so loyalty doesn't apply just because you have multiple partners?
Yeah, yes, loyalty does apply, but it looks different.
It applies, it just applies to multiple people, correct?
As long as your partner knows what you're doing, then that's being loyal.
Okay, so but in this particular situation, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you have a partner, whatever that partner looks like to you, what kind of partnership do you guys have if they can't trust you to not sell them down the river if the opportunity presents itself, is what I'm trying to say.
And that's the whole thing in these types of relationships. They sound good in theory. They sound nice. They sound fun when you roll it up in your head. But then when they play it out, it plays out into a different type of thing because we're dealing with people and emotions.
Right.
And people lie. People have agreements because I know a couple who had that type of agreement. Well, we're swingers, but we're only going to swing with each other. It didn't work because one person went against the agreement.
I get what you're saying as far as like faithfulness. I think where I get confused is what kind of partnership do you have if you cannot trust each other to have each other's back? I guess that's where I'm stuck, because I feel like that trust to have each other's back is the foundation of any relationship.
Right.
So even if you have multiple wives or even if you have multiple husbands, to me, I feel like it just means now you just have multiple people whose backs you have.
Yeah. And that's the mark of a healthy relationship, where you have to have the boundaries, you have to have the loyalty, there needs to be a understanding of what it is that you're getting into. What, like basically, what are the rules and what is my part in upholding them?
There are no hard and fast rules, and rules can change at any time. And that's the thing, that's the whole thing about these type of relationships. They don't follow a certain norm. And as long as they, they may agree today that this will be the way they're going to do it tomorrow, they can agree to do it a different way because the situation presents itself differently. And people have to think, when you're talking about humans, we all have the ability to change our minds. We may say that we're not jealous, but we will get jealous. So, and I don't advise those type of relationships because again, it plays out well in your head and it sounds good in theory, but it just doesn't work. It's like committing a crime. When people commit crimes, they plan it out. They plan A, B, and C out, but you can't plan everything that could possibly happen
Right.
Hmm.
I
Right.
because
mean,
there's other people involved. So when there's other people involved, there's other nuances that can play out because you don't know what that person is going to do at any given time because people are unpredictable.
Mhm.
so if that's the case, then what was his point of even going up there? Because clearly it's giving one person is still acting like we're in a monogamous marriage here, and the other person is acting like you're seeing other people, I'm seeing other people. What's the big deal?
Because I spoke to someone who read his book, and his thing was that there was a time in his life when he was younger and his mother was in a domestic violence situation with his father. He did not step up and protect his mom. He was a little boy then. So
Hmm.
now he felt, I'm tired of people talking about my wife. She has this medical condition now, or she has this condition. Um, and, enough is enough. So this is my time to step up in a woman's honor. And so even
And
though
we
it
commend that.
played out in his head to do something, it just didn't turn out the way he thought it would.
Right.
And
Right.
so the one person that he stepped up for, to like obviously coming from the baggage of holding on to that ever since he was a kid,
Yep, she didn't back him
completely
up.
let him down.
She didn't
Mhm.
back him up.
Mhm.
I think she completely let him down is the issue here.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
And he was like,
know?
the one time I did step up for a woman in my life that has, that is not being treated fairly, this is what happens to me.
Right. So then it begs the question, like, was it worth it? And I don't think it was worth it because it's kind of like, yes, it was a very chivalrous act, but it was done for someone that didn't even appreciate it, hasn't appreciated him in the past, hasn't protected him emotionally. So, when he had a very strong emotional response, that was the opportunity for to make up for all the past times when she didn't have his
Right.
back, to stand by him and have his back in this instant, and she did not.
I completely 100% agree with you on that.
And
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 maybe
that's
that's what he needs to be reevaluating over there in rehab. Is not why he did what he did. He needs to be thinking, why am I with the person that I'm with then?
hmm
Hmm.
Because obviously your needs are not being met here. It's
Right.
almost like you guys are speaking two different languages.
right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I guess that's another layer of stand by your man. I mean, uh,
Relationships are difficult. And relationships are difficult in itself. To throw
Hmm.
other people in it, to throw other things, I'm just like, let's keep it simple. Let's just keep it simple. I mean, but that happens. Just like we spoke what last week about open relationships. Do they actually work?
Hmm.
And they don't work in the long run. They don't.
yeah.
It leads to a lot of it leads to a lot of broken relationships and hard feelings.
I mean, it's kind of crazy because I don't obviously have any experience when it comes to like polyamorous relationships, but I'm still mind blown by the fact that, because if you ask me, I would say, well, yeah, obviously they have loyalty to each other. It's just this person's loyal to multiple people. But if you're gonna start telling me that like it's like a free for all and then anything goes, as far as like you can't even like expect somebody to have your back, I honestly don't even know then how this relationship works. Because like even if I think about my friendships, I have multiple friends, but I'm loyal to each and every one of them.
Hmm
Just
Hmm.
because they're multiple doesn't mean that the loyalty goes out the door now. You know what I mean? It just I don't know any relationship that can be healthy and
hmm
sustain not having trust and loyalty,
Exactly.
whether it's a relationship or it's a friendship or it's like a family dynamic with a parent and a child. Whatever it is, there has to be, well, I mean, for it to be healthy, it needs to have trust and loyalty there, and for both people to know that this person loves me and has me, and and vice versa. So um uh, yeah, I'm at a loss for that one. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this I just don't know how he can just go home. I mean, maybe it works out that they just don't see each other.
Hmm.
Live in the same house and just don't see each other.
Right.
I mean,
People do it all the time.
I don't know.
I mean,
don't
and
know.
their house is not a house; it's like a mansion. So I guess it's a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
It's
But I've
But you
also
know
heard of
what? I
couples
mean,
that,
I'd be
oh,
interested to know, like, guys in the comment section, like, if people can talk about their experiences as far as standing by your man or standing by your woman, and like what your experience is, what you expect, what your stand in is on those things. You know, I'm curious, and people that have all kinds of like unconventional relationships. I mean, let's hear it. Let's talk about it.
yeah, exactly. Well, that concludes another episode of Level Up Conversations. You can reach us at levelupconvo@gmail.com. You can also, excuse me, leave your comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts. And until next time, peace out.
peace.
Bye.
Where's the camera? Peace. Peace. Peace.
Bye.